you don't think Doorman, Marvel Studios Doorman, wouldn't make $1 billion?
Doorman will make all of the money, right? Hear me out.
Oh,
Doorman
yeah.
will make all of the money if Disney does the right thing and it's set at the Tipton Hotel. Hi, everybody. We're here talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is Insider Chatter. You're getting a special episode because there's so much to cover this week with Comic-Con coming up. We're giving Marvel their own episode after Kevin Feige talked to the press. I'm Mike. Of course, here's Nate. He knows movies. Say hi, Nate.
Hi, Nate.
And our buddy over here, Ford, needs to talk to Kevin Feige. What's going on, Cliff?
Man, I'm chilling. I have so many comments, so many questions. I need to talk to Kevin personally because, sir, you saying everything and nothing at the same time. Like, you saying things that already we all expected. It's a lot. So we need to talk.
We need to talk, Kevin. If you guys follow me on like TikTok or YouTube, you probably saw me drop a short of like, "Hey, Kevin, buddy, what's going on?" And in that short, I'm like, "Dude, what do you mean Michael Waldron is helping write the script for Avengers Doomsday?"
Before we say anything, I gotta ask you both, what time is it?
It's Morbin time?
No.
It's clappering time, baby.
Hell yeah. Sorry, I just had to do it.
Fantastic.
Hey, if only there was 4 of us.
Right? We're just a trio over here for us. No, but it's Fantastic Four week. Nate is right. We've got a lot to get into with that in future episodes. But Avengers Doomsday, what the heck? How is this man writing? Like, he announces that he's helping write the script. If you guys don't know, Michael Waldron created and wrote Loki seasons 1 and 2. And now he's here helping the Avengers. That in and of itself is cool. Loki was phenomenal. Him working on that project built the foundation of the multiverse saga. And so him being involved with Avengers Doomsday makes perfect sense. But they've been filming for like 2 months. We saw the chairs. We saw the in production now. Robert Downey doing don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody who's in this movie. We had all that set up. And you tell me this man is just now being announced to help write the script. Can somebody explain the process at Marvel Studios? Because I am lost here.
They're treating this like it's an improv class. Like we're all learning jazz on the spot, essentially.
Is that what this is? Is like Kevin Feige over here being like J.K. Simmons and Whiplash being like, well, nope, not quite my tempo. We got to do it again.
I don't know, because like that feels too mean of a thing to say and whatnot. But like so to also be fair, for those who don't know, what Mike was mentioning, that he did sort of a town hall meeting a few days ago. There's a bunch of articles on Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and Deadline that all talks about everything that we're going to mention in this video. Future of Blade, Avengers Doomsday filming, how he likes to, produce and, work on scripts and make movies, yada, 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 and a bunch of other things and whatnot. But yeah, I am confused by all of this. Like, I understand it in terms of the artistry part of it, but at the same time, it makes me wonder, is there any like solidified thing for this franchise as of right now? Especially with your 2 biggest tentpole films. Like, you can't just be willy-nilly with this. You're bringing 40 plus people into this and got the nerve to talk about, all these actors, they know these characters best. You still need a script, sir. Like,
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Michael Waldron had initially written like an early draft of the Kang Dynasty, and then he was dropped off of it and replaced by the guy who did Quantum Media, Jeff Loveness.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
And then Quantum Media came out, and Marvel was like, "Oh crap, probably not." And then he was moved off, and then it was McFeely. I think they came around when the Russos were there, and they fully made it Doomsday. I mean, it was probably going to be a completely different movie.
Go into the Hollywood Reporter, because they were excellent with their coverage here. They have that Steve McFeely is writing the script. Also, these are professional journalists writing the script. They didn't say he wrote the script. So that means even the final version that McFeely was working on is still in progress. And Michael Waldron is also helping. But we have quotes from Kevin Feige, and this is just a peek into his process here. He says, quote, "I've never been satisfied with the movie we've released." And then he added, they like to do plussing at every turn. Plussing, this is a continuation of the quote. There's plussing happening every day on the Avengers Doomsday set right now. It's amazing to watch because those filmmakers, those actors, both the ones that are playing these characters for the first time or second time, or the one playing them for the 10th or 12th time, are the best in the world at it and know these characters so well. So, if they have an idea, you want to listen and you want to adjust to it and you want to improve it, I wouldn't want to change that. And so, that's the end of the quote. It's just really strange and unorthodox, I will say. Like, if this is the Marvel method, and I guess this really is kind of what Stan Lee would do back in the day when they were writing Marvel comics, where he would just throw out ideas and then to make it work. This is the Marvel method. It also explains why we have so many problems, right? Why there's so much crunch on the visual effects team. Because if we don't know what we're doing half the time while we're making the movie and we're cobbling things together, and it's like, oh, go get this done in 6 months. Like, Avengers Doomsday is coming out December of next year, and we're still writing. You can't tell me the visual effects team knows what they're going to be doing on this film to make it look good.
It makes me wonder if, because James Gunn is another one, now that he's running DC, both Guardians and the Black Panther movies, they're both like, those have more consistent visual effects than anything else, and have a more, even their sequels post Endgame have been notably much better than a lot of the other post Endgame stuff. And a lot of these other directors that he keeps hiring, like a John Watts or Ann Bode and Ryan Fleck, like they always did, like Sundance kind of movies. They had very, very small movies, and I wonder if Feige's just micromanaging or not. But the comment of he's never been satisfied with a movie released, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, how can you not be proud of Black Panther? That was a movie you were nominated for an Oscar for. On the Oscar list, it wasn't Ryan Coogler's name as produced by. It was just him, which I guess ego much. But like, why are you saying I'm not proud of that? Why are you not proud of Endgame, one of the biggest movies ever made? What the hell are you talking about? He usually has good media training, but this feels like he got out of a bar and was like drunk and just shooting the shit, like talking out of his ass. Like,
But that's why I kind of love it though. Like as much as I'm like annoyed, I'm like, this is the most I've ever heard Kevin Feige truly speak. I guess how he feels about the process of making movies and like running the largest film studio in modern day and what have you. Because
Yeah.
what's that? Because not only that, because what was the quote when he had mentioned specifically just reactions to Marvel movies and like why there's not necessarily superhero fatigue. It's just he blames the output or whatever for the movies that they put out as being the reason why things haven't been how they are. And he was talking about Thunderbolts, and he very specifically said, "I thought Thunderbolts was a very good movie." Just to bring it back to what Nate said, I'm just like, do you not like this movie now? You signed off on this. Even in those articles he mentions, we always start with the script, but you know we don't mind deviating or tossing new ideas, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just like, if you don't care about this, sir, why should we?
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to be invested in at this point? I feel relieved, or like I kind of feel I'm reveling in this happiness. I'm like, yeah, all these post like Endgame movies are annoying and quote unquote suck to me because like you could kind of see it, and now the big honcho is just like, yeah, I'm not even satisfied with the stuff we made. So I'm like, cool. So it seems like I made a great decision, Kevin.
Frustrating because there's a couple quotes in here, and he bounces all over the place, at least with how this is structured. But essentially, he's right. He hated that some of the movies became homework at a certain point, and this is something that I've been saying for like 4 years now, and I got clowned on it quite a bit when I would bring it up. But it's like, hey,
Vindicated. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry.
yeah, literally the Captain Holt vindication, But yeah, he's talking about Thunderbolts, and I don't have the direct quote, so I'm going to paraphrase. But it's like, hey, it was hard because we did our best to make Thunderbolts a movie you can just jump into. You don't really have to think about it. But that entire lineup were characters who were best known for television. And so when somebody sees the trailer, they're gonna be like, hey, that's that guy who was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I didn't watch that. Or, hey, I didn't see Bucky's show, so what is going on here? Or, Yelena she was in Black Widow, but I do think people best know her from her relationship with Kate Bishop and being in Hawkeye, And so that entire cast, Valentina, right? That entire cast, a lot of people didn't show up because they felt like they needed to watch this other stuff. I even know my own family members who refused to watch Thunderbolts because they thought that they needed to catch up on these other MCU things. I'm like, no, just go. They went, they loved it. But if I wasn't there, they would have been like everybody else and not have seen that movie. So I think it's also him saying, I thought Thunderbolts was a good movie. I don't think he regrets Thunderbolts or thinks it's a bad movie. I just think he's like, hey, we thought it was good, but that wasn't enough. Like, I also think Kevin has to realize, him and Disney have to realize now that the Marvel brand isn't perfect, right? It's not the proven, oh, we can just throw a tree and a raccoon in a trailer and you're going to see it anyway because you love us, even though you know nothing about them. You now need to have an identifiable thing to it, or you're going to have to actually work to get your audience to come out and see it, And I think that's part of the issue with a lot of the Phase 4 stuff, because he goes on to talk about Eternals, and yeah, Eternals it wasn't interesting to their audience. Like, a Marvel fan probably watches that trailer and it's like, why should I see this? And this is not me saying Eternals is bad or anything, but it's like, you're going to have to work harder to sell the movies as movies now, instead of just, oh, everybody's going to go see the next Marvel thing. I think that's something that they kind of had to rattle with recently.
Mike, you can admit Eternals was not very good.
I mean, I'm just saying yeah. Outside of Eternals, regardless of your opinion, there was nothing there that made somebody say, I need to go watch it. Yeah. But yes, Eternals is like bottom 5 MCU movies for me, I will say.
I just find it weirdly just ironic because he points out the Marvels and that being homework. Well, that movie, for starters, that movie wasn't very good. It was fine, but it wasn't very good. Also, the TV show that was homework, the 2 TV shows, were 2 of the better TV shows that they put out. WandaVision, and I will say it, I really, really enjoyed Miss Marvel. I thought the latter 2 episodes were a little underwhelming, but the rest of that show, I thought was great. I know nobody watched it, and that's on them for, I don't know, hate watching She-Hulk instead.
I watched it.
It's just frustrating that he's just trying to point the blame, and I'm like, the Marvels didn't get good reviews to begin with. Thunderbolts did. They're not really that comparable to me.
So to build off of that, Nate, not to cut you off right quick, but I found the quotes. Again, it's hard trying to find everything. I found his quotes here. And he says, talking about Disney Plus and how they had too many projects coming out. He says, it's that expansion that I think led to a lot of people saying, do I have to see all of this? It used to be fun, but now I have to do everything. Do I have to watch all of these? And I think the Marvels hit the hardest. And it's like, okay, I recognize her from $1 Billion Movie, but who are these other 2? I think I'll skip it. And then he goes on to talk about Thunderbolts, saying some of the sentiment around Thunderbolts were just residual effects of that. And this just leads me back to the Marvel process that I want to talk to you guys about, because I'm not trying to make this a Marvel versus DC episode, but James Gunn is always on record saying, we're not doing anything until we have a script we're happy with. Kevin has just said he's never fully been satisfied with anything that they've done, which blows my mind because so many MCU movies I actually do really love. So I just feel like Marvel is always trying to go. Whereas if you see the Marvels bomb the way that it did, and your takeaway was it felt like homework, how did we even let Thunderbolts get made? At that point, I feel like you need to scrap it. You need to retool it. You need to maybe make it a Disney Plus show or something. I don't understand how you let this you had the data. You had the data there, and you went on anyway and made Thunderbolts. And just yeah, well, we saw that coming. Lost more money. Lost hundreds of millions of dollars.
I mean, I guess they were just well, we still have a good movie on our hands. Also, Why is Feige saying this ahead of Fantastic? Is he saying he's not satisfied with Fantastic Four First Steps, which, by the way, is getting very, very good reviews? Why would you, as a studio head, be like, I've never been satisfied with a movie we made, and then not, like, cut it off by saying, well, I'm proud of this movie. Like, this is most proud. Like,
Yeah.
wow, way to promote your movie that's a lot is writing on it. Cool, Kevin. Cool.
I feel like we keep saying Kevin like he's Kevin McAllister.
That's how it
But
feels at this point. Because like when I saw these headlines, I'm just like, Kevin, what's going on, dude? What are we doing here?
yeah, it's funny though because like I'm in the same boat as both of you. You know, why didn't we halt production on these future projects after the Marvels? I think there was a lot of things prior to that because even in these same articles, Kevin had mentioned that around the like post Endgame time, this is when they also had that mandate, from Disney, where it's like, hey, make more stuff. And before then, I'm looking at the specifically the variety portion of this conversation. Kevin Feige, this is in terms of them making more movies and kind of go go go, as Mike mentioned, kind of making how I would say like a fast food version of movies,
Yeah.
essentially. Just like get it out there for people to consume, enjoy real quick, and move on. He says, for the first time ever, quantity trump quality. We spent 12 years working on the Infinity Saga, saying that's never going to happen to us, which was mistake number one. We always had more characters than we could possibly make because we weren't going to make a movie a month. Suddenly, there's a mandate to make more, and we go, well, we do have more. So, they kind of started this with like, oh, I mean, we do have more characters, so let's just go and make it. Let's just create, which again, the artist in me is like, yeah, I get that. Just create for the sake of creation. It's good to get your ideas out there,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean you show us all of them. That doesn't mean you just greenlight only every single thing.
But that also
You
means
know,
that you have to reset, right? Like we keep talking
Mhm.
about we've had this conversation for years now of like if there wasn't a pandemic, they would have just kept on going. Like the pandemic is what caused Marvel to take like a year gap. But they probably should have taken a 3-year gap and say, "Hey, no Avengers movies. We can do a Spider-Man here or there, sure, cuz Sony's like co-financing that anyway. And then we need to like map this out properly. Cuz I feel like it's just, hey, we loosely want to tell a Kang multiverse story. We can, like you were saying, Cliff, we have the characters. We're going to do Moon Knight, even though it connects to nothing. We're going to do Miss Marvel and try and loosely tie it into Captain Marvel. We're going to do all these other things. Like we had Werewolf by Night. I'm not saying these are bad. We had a Guardians Christmas special. A lot of that stuff is really good, but it's also like, are we ever going to see Moon Knight or Werewolf by Night again? Or was that just fodder because we needed to put something on the streaming service?
Back to the answer to that question, Mike, because I'm going to find the quote where he literally talked about seeing future characters, where he had mentioned Charlize Theron,
Yeah.
Clea's character, and all that stuff. Because I feel like what he said is the answer we can apply to Moon Knight, essentially. But while I talk, I'm going to try and find that quote exactly. But yeah, I agree with you. It just feels like I was never a big fan of them like not pausing after Endgame, because again, it's just like you spent 12 years building up to this monumental moment. Why would you not do that again? Like you can't just be like, all right, we got them. Let's just toss whatever to the wall, and people are going to show up. And obviously there will always be those outliers where we all know people who they've enjoyed every single project that Marvel has put out since Endgame. Like it's top tier for they do not care. Just give it to me. I'll enjoy it for what it is and move on. Right.
Yeah.
But if you want to keep that, I hate to use the phrase like brand loyalty in terms of business, but like if you want to keep that community going and keep it strong, you got to pump the brakes. You really got to sit and plan like, hey, what are we doing in the future with all of these things? You know, and I feel like with multiple movies we see that because also remember when we had learned that Marvel they do like their pre-biz action scenes for their movies before they even get like a director on board. Like we already knew for like the Marvels, they had their action sets beat set up, so we just had to get Homegirl to write the story in between all of that.
Yeah, Nia DaCosta basically was saying that she had cut scenes that she had to write around, which is,
literally
yeah. Again, not how
that's kind of
movies
how
should
it
be
is.
made.
Exactly, and it's just like y'all like y'all shot yourselves in the foot long ago, and now you're course correcting and doing the things that we all now seems like, yeah, this should have been option A from the beginning.
To be fair, the Mission Impossible movies, although most of those are far better than most MCU movies, and I'm saying that as a fan of both, those also write their action scenes first
Yeah.
before everything else. Like, they build their movies around the action scenes. I think it's different with Marvel because Mission Impossible has always been Tom Cruise's baby. Christopher McQuarrie did the last several, so he was always going to see it to the end after Rogue Nation. So I think it's a little bit different, but at the same time, I was just saying, to be a little bit fair, I think there's a lot of action movies that do kind of do that first, but at the same time, they're also doing some of these directors dirty. I think Nia DaCosta is probably the prime example. I feel very bad for her, and she's like, of the Marvel directors that they have treated like dog shit, she's like the one I'm like, I'm going to see. I didn't even like the Marvels, but like Candyman, for the flaws that it had, it was a damn well, like, she directed the hell out of that movie. Like,
Yeah.
her direction was the best part. Like, I will see anything she does. Because I know the Marvels wasn't her film.
She's been very vocal about that too. I want to go back to something that Cliff was saying earlier, simply because it kind of ties into a different quote. I think Kevin's being so open in this conversation because he's just being very like honest and real, and this is the first time ever he's kind of really approached it that way. Like, I think there's just a level of arrogance and like hubris to some of this stuff too, like the idea that we're never going to have that problem. It's not going to happen to us, right? Like the quality dip, because we have so many characters. And I think the problem is, yes, Marvel as a comics company has a lot of characters that just exist, but when you think of their heavy hitters, you need the heavy hitters, right? Like, we're not going to a movie because it says produced by Kevin Feige on it. You're going to a movie because it has Iron Man in it and you love that character, or it has Spider-Man in it. And I think one of the biggest flaws of the post Endgame Marvel Studios is that they just don't have their heavy hitters, and they didn't put these other characters in a position to become that. You know, like, if we always knew that Sam Wilson was going to become Captain America, we should have planted those seeds in Winter Soldier, in Civil War, make him feel important, make us care about him. Instead, he was always just like, oh yeah, that's Steve Rogers' buddy. But is this a man that we want to follow and lead a new team of Avengers, right? And it kind of just set them all up to fail. And so we get to this next quote that I'm going to share with you guys right quick.
Oh, wait. Come
Go.
on, Mike. You don't think Doorman, Marvel Studios Doorman, wouldn't make $1 billion? Or 3D Man? Or Kazar?
Doorman will make all of the money, right? Hear me out.
Oh,
Doorman
yeah.
will make all of the money if Disney does the right thing and it's set at the Tipton Hotel.
Yes.
Make all the money.
Wait, crossover franchise possibility. Not only is it the Tipton Sweet Life of Zack and Cody door, it's also the door that Bo from Monsters Inc. also came through. Well,
$5 billion.
Yes.
No, but like, I think Marvel was like, yeah, we can do all these other characters, because I mean, again, we made people fall in love with a tree that says 3 words. But it's also like, hey guys, you killed the Avengers. you ended that story. It's not as simple as on to the next thing. You have to basically pitch, hey, this is why you guys need to come back. And you should have made all of those newer characters, their outings a little bit stronger or more appealing. So that brings us to this quote. And Kevin's talking about potentially recasting Iron Man, recasting Steve Rogers Captain America. And he says, quote, they're searching for a new Bond. David Cornsweet is the new Superman, and he's awesome. That will always be the case for us. Do you think Marvel's realizing, hey, no, we need to have Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, Wolverine, the Hulk at all times for us to be profitable?
We were talking about this on one of our last podcasts about with like the Hulk. I was talking about how I want Savage Hulk again. I'm like, oh, just replace Mark Ruffalo. I think Robert Downey Jr. though feels so different because really that was his big comeback movie, and he's so synonymous with the character. It would have to be a total reboot. Like, don't do multiverse or anything. You have to start from scratch if you want to replace Iron Man. Because, yeah, we've gotten multiple Superman, or Batman, or Jokers, even though there's been 2 actors who've won Oscars for playing the Joker, one more deservingly. But at the same time, I feel like a person who's going to take on the role from like a Robert Downey Jr. is always going to be compared. And I feel like Feige would be like, you have to do an RDJ impression. Because they're so connected. It's weird.
So do you believe it's the Superman effect with Christopher Reeves?
I think so. At the same time, though, since we've seen Superman since, we even saw Superman on TV before Christopher Reeve, George Reeves. I know I have not seen the George Reeves TV show, but at the same time, I think Iron Man wasn't like a super well-known character before that movie. It was that movie that was so damn good that made him a star. And I mean, if you look at even the comics now, most of the comics, he's clearly modeled after Robert Downey Jr. And that's the only one, because I'm like, I could see a lot of different actors who could play Captain America. I could see a lot of different actors who could play Thor, or the Hulk, or Spider-Man, or Wolverine. Like, I could see a bunch of different actors. But I think RDJ, like, in terms of just like a superhero, not counting villains, I think Robert Downey Jr. is like the best casting for like a superhero movie, like ever. Like, that would just be weird. You'd have to do a total reboot and have to do a reinvention of the character.
I don't even think it's. Well, I mean, for you guys, it'd be a reinvention of the character. Robert Downey Jr., love him to death. He's not comic book Iron Man. Like, there's so many storylines for that character that they don't even touch. They don't do Demon in a Bottle. They don't do Armor Wars. There's so much that they can mine because Robert Downey, again, I love him. You're right. He's one of the best castings in superhero history. But that was very much Jon Favreau, Kevin Feige, Robert Downey, like crafting a character around the actor. They can just do comic book Tony Stark and it'll be completely tonally different. Like Tony Stark, he wasn't really like a jokester like character. He was a very troubled, like tortured character. And so that automatically changes it a ton, from my understanding. And so I think they could do it. Like I said, he can't, as long as it's not an impression. If you're not trying to tell somebody, this would be the Superman Returns problem, right? Where Brandon Routh was basically like, "Hey, go be Christopher Reeve," and that was awful. You have to let somebody reinvent the character for themselves. And I feel like this would have to be a reboot because Tony's dead.
Here's my idea, okay? Because what you're describing is grittier and darker and more serious, okay? We get this guy who directed 300 and Watchmen.
No.
And we get this British guy named Henry Cavill to play Tony Stark. Amy Adams Pepper, Kevin Costner's Howard Stark, and he's like, you should have let your friends die on the bus.
Jarvis.
You had me on board for a second because I legit was like, I wouldn't mind seeing Zack Snyder do an Iron Man movie.
Oh yeah, no, that would be
not the case. To answer Mike's question, I don't know if they realized it yet. I don't know, because again, I'm still just thinking about that quote of like, we've been successful for 12 years, so we can just go. You know, we can just press nitrous boost like Fast and Furious and just keep going, right? And like the hubris that Mike mentioned, I'm just like, sir, the very like source material you're using has its own declines with the same amount of characters, and they use all of them, majority of them. Let me not say all, because there are characters who they've been collecting dust for decades now at this point.
Shout out to the homie Doorman.
Shout out to the homie Doorman. You know, shout out to my man. But like, if the source material you're using has had these ups and downs and have had to constantly reboot multiple times, you know, like in current comics, we're about to get a brand new issue 1 for Batman in September because of just the current state of where Batman is right now. And, you know, and we're talking like the most popular, most recognizable outside of Spider-Man comic book character to ever exist, right? Spider-Man is constantly getting rebooted with multiple new number 1s and new writers coming on board like every 3 months.
The
You
books
know,
that are getting the most attention are now Elseworlds like books, right? You have the Ultimates with Spider-Man now, or you have Absolute Batman. Like even main continuity, it's like, hey, we got to break away from that and do something completely different.
hmm do something completely different, or also invest in the writers who can actually propel these more obscure characters that most of us don't read. So
Mm.
so I say all that to say, of just like, if it's happening in your source material, or the minds that you go to get all your stories from, and if it's happening with other just movie franchises, DC has been up and down. Aliens, Predator, Fast and Furious, whatever is a franchise, it's had its decline. So to think that, like, you're different just because you, like, all respect, you've done such a monumental thing within 2008 to 2019, that doesn't mean you just, like, stop putting in the work and effort to continue that, right? So
Yeah,
so long story short, I don't think they've gotten to that point yet, because I think y'all they can revive Shang-Chi. Just, it's right there, but I don't know if they want to invest anymore in that.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, both of what both of you were saying, and I think Elseworlds, to me, I feel like that is the way to go, especially after Endgame. If you want to do a reboot, why not just kind of do what? Like, I don't know why I'm saying this because I know DC is all in the same universe, but like Clayface is not going to have anything to do with Superman. And I'm like, if you do these kind of Elseworld completely standalone movies that are, one offs, you get a prestige like screenwriter or director to do it. Like, get GDT to do the Immortal Hulk movie. Or, make something that is like a standalone like Magneto movie with I'm just dropping names. Steven Spielberg directing it. I don't know.
Nate
Like,
is pitching the most Nate movies of all time. By the
I
way,
know I
guys.
am.
I mean, but to
Think
be fair, a Del Toro Hulk movie, I'm on board. If he wants
Oh
to make
yeah.
any monsters, I'm in.
oh yeah.
Um, I will say, I mean that's what we're getting with Fantastic Four. I mean, by the time you guys are watching this, Fantastic Four is coming out in like a day or so. Um,
Yay.
and so, ironically, maybe this is Marvel's first steps towards that new method of theirs, right? Because Kevin Feige said that they're currently having a 7-year plan. It goes to 2032. It's on magnets; it can move around, is what he's quoted in saying. In Fantastic Four, he's quoted saying it's a no homework required movie. It's disconnected from everything. Takes place in a different universe. A lot of surprises that can happen there. And I think Fantastic Four. Think like this movie can't exist in MCU continuity. Like just aesthetically, it can't fit
Mm.
in the MCU's continuity because how comics work and how the MCU has worked is we've slowly seen that entire universe, right? Like we were in the 40s with Captain America. We were in the 50s and 60s with Agent Carter, right? We were in the 80s when we got flashbacks to Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne. We were in the 90s with Captain Marvel.
Everywhere with the Eternals.
Yeah, we were throughout all of time with the Eternals. And so now they're in a corner where, like, even if they wanted to make this as a very Fantastic Four movie and do it the exact same way in continuity, they couldn't because we know what the universe looks and feels like.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, maybe they're realizing, hey, yeah, doing these standalone stories is the way to go. He's gone on saying he wants to make like one singular timeline. That's why he started talking about Iron Man. Do we think that they're gonna hard reboot with Secret Wars? Like, and what I mean by hard reboot, I don't mean we start from the beginning. I think it'd be like a Superman situation where everything's set back to zero, but these characters exist. Like the Avengers are already a team. We don't need an origin story for them. We don't need to see Iron Man in a cave with a box of scraps. But T'Challa and Tony and Steve are alive, and the X-Men exist. You know?
I think that might be a good route to go, but don't start with Iron Man again.
Oh
I
yeah, yeah.
think
I don't think Iron Man would get a movie for a while. I think you just see
no.
the Avengers and he's on the team. Because
Hon-
contrary to popular belief, in the grand scheme of the Marvel Comics universe, Iron Man was not that important. He was like a C tier character.
Honestly, if they want to do it right away, I think you would start with Black Panther with Ryan Coogler, especially with. I mean, I don't
That's what Black
know.
Panther 3 would be.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Maybe it's just because I'm like, oh, I want something like a non sequel from Coogler next.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh hell yeah, Denzel's joining. I want to see him not join the really messy cinematic universe right now, even if it's under a good director. But at the same time, I think you start with a Black Panther or you start with a Spider-Man, even though I guess Tom Holland is still in that role, or you start with a new actress as Captain Marvel, or you start with something else. You start with X-Men, I think would be the go around. I will say Fantastic Four isn't really the first alternate universe, because technically Deadpool and Wolverine, yeah, they had the TVA, but it was its own universe. It was the
I
Fox.
guess it's the third Deadpool movie.
I know, but those were MCU, the first two.
I again, that's why I'm saying I guess I'm not disagreeing, but it's also like that's a known quantity. Those are
Yeah,
two
it's
known actors
adjacent.
reprising their yeah. Like
Yeah.
it is different for the Marvel Studios MCU thing, but it's like I've seen Ryan Reynolds play this character 3 times. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
counting Origins. I'm sorry. Yeah, Cliff, do you think they're going to reboot after Secret Wars with the way Kevin Feige's been talking? Because that's what it feels like. Because he even talks about DC and he's like, "Oh, I love that Mister Terrific shows up and they don't explain it. You just go and
Doorman in Black Panther
Doorman."
3.
Which that by itself, I'm just like, just don't. You can't just do that with every character though. You can't just be like, oh, they exist. Here he is, and boom, we going. Like,
But
Yep.
I
Doorman,
personally don't feel like that works with every character. Like, it works with a few, but also depends on who is writing the script and
Well,
all
that's the
that stuff.
thing. Like,
But
if we do a rebooted timeline, it would work with those known quantities, right? We don't need to
mm,
see Natasha go through the Red Room. We don't need to see Bruce get hit with a gamma bomb. We don't need to see
mm,
Steve jump on the grenade and get injected with super soldier serum again. Like, those are the characters that they can just exist. The current MCU characters can exist. Like, you don't need a Miss Marvel origin story. But for the MCU's sake, you do Iceman, you do Kitty Pryde, you do Rogue, you do Storm.
mm,
Those would be the origin stories going forward.
yeah, yeah. I was about to say, I think the best bet in terms of a soft reboot would be to just start with the X-Men.
yeah.
Literally, you have a fresh jumping on point for everybody. Introduce your new cinematic universe through the eyes of the most hated people in this universe. Spider-Man outside his own thing and all that stuff. But to answer the question, I think so. I do believe they will, because after that, you can't really do another big event after you bring multiple movie franchises and colliding worlds together.
No.
Like, you have to shrink down and consolidate and go small again and make the story more personal again.
I wonder though, and this is a question for both of you. Do you think Jake Schreier is going to stay on X-Men?
Coming from comicbook.com, Kevin Feige confirms that Jake Schreier is directing the next X-Men movie.
Okay. Because I feel like if you want to do a total reset, and I guess I'm being a hypocrite because James Gunn had already done the Suicide Squad, but some of that's connected, that's all convoluted. But wouldn't you want to start with a director you haven't worked with before who has done like a bunch of like bigger prestige movies to do a reboot of X-Men?
No, because, and I mean this in the nicest way, Kevin Feige seems like he's a little bit of a control freak.
Yeah.
So he probably wants the guy like, hey, I get along with this guy. We have a similar vision. I'm able to help do plusings or whatever he said in this last quote that I read before of him being on set and like juicing up the scripts a little bit. So I think, and this is not me saying that Jake is a yes man or anything like that, but I think Kevin's like, hey, we work well together. You made a good movie for us. Let's go do the X-Men.
I mean, Jake was kind of a smaller director before Thunderbolts. He'd worked on Beef, which was great, but then before that, he did Paper Towns, the John Green movie with Cara Delevingne, which was horrible. He did this like indie movie like 15 years ago called Robot and Frank with like Frank Langella and this robot robbing a museum or some shit together. Like he had not done, and it had been 10 years since his last actual movie. Like, and Matt Shackman as well. Like he has done one movie that came out 10 years ago. He did WandaVision, to be fair, and that was Marvel had an initial problem that they've now tried to fix of treating their TV shows like a movie production. But I wonder if that means then we aren't going to see some of these directors like a Sam Raimi, like a Chloe Zhao, or a Taika Waititi, or Ryan Coogler. Like, directing more for Marvel if this is the future of their directors, like people who have done like bigger TV shows or a couple of like smaller movies. Is that what the future is?
I'll push back against that. Well, not really push back. It's more so because you kind of took what I was going to say right out my. You took the words right out of my mouth. Because outside of Coogler and James Gunn,
Mm-hmm.
what other directors do we know have such credibility in this universe? Like, yes, you mentioned Taika Waititi, you mentioned Chloe Zhao, like their notoriety for their own feature films, their indie flicks, they've done really well in those areas. But in terms of like big budget
Sam
superhero
Raimi.
movies, Sam Raimi, yes, but I also feel like he's a part of a different ilk of like
Yeah.
former directors from the early 2000s. Like he was really the only one in the early 2000s. I would put Ang Lee as well up there, but he made a misunderstood movie. But that's a different
Hell yeah.
conversation for
We
later.
agree with we agree with
We,
your chat on
we're gonna
that.
have to talk Hulk 2003 one day.
We will. It's going to be
We
great.
will.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put Raimi in a different ilk of directors. I put him kind of in like he was growing up around the same time with Nolan as well, and he was just getting started in the early mid 2000s and all that stuff. But in terms of 2010s and up, at least for me, Gunn and Coogler are the only two big names. Sure, we got the Russos, but we've seen what they've been doing outside of Avengers movies and
Yeah,
whatnot. So, and that's kind of the trade off here. We want them to put interesting stories out, but that means they also have to trust the directors and not guide them into these areas where they don't really get to shine. Is this Fantastic Four movie going to be an MCU movie and a Matt Shackman movie, or is it just going to be an MCU movie that was really well directed?
to answer Nate's initial question, and then I'll follow up on what Cliff was just saying. I think we need to step back for a second and look at the grand picture because I know we can be in the current state of the MCU. We tend to be very negative. I want us to realize that the MCU has always been this way, where it's very small directors or indie directors, and it becomes their big break. Right? Ryan Coogler did Creed, big movie, like his first big movie. And then he does Black Panther and he goes into superstardom, right? The Russos go from random episodes of Community and
You
then
mean the
I mean, you and
pre?
Dupree.
yes. And then they become like some of the biggest directors in Hollywood. Now we know their non-MCU stuff is usually not great, but the MCU helped launch their careers. And I feel that happened with a lot of the people, like even James Gunn. James Gunn wasn't like a known name until he did Guardians of the Galaxy. And so I feel like this is just par for the course where Kevin Feige wants to find the next indie darling and say, hey, come and do this X-Men movie for me. Go.
Will they want to do those movies? I guess besides the money, but like if some of these Sundance directors, and I'm not trying to talk down, some of them can be a little pretentious. Some of them will be like, I'm not going to sell out to the studio system no
That's
matter
movie
what money
directors
is
for
shown.
you.
Hmm?
That's artists. That's movie directors for you. All of
Yeah.
them have this mindset. But let me not say all of them, but a good number of them always have that like kind of ew. Why don't I make a comic
Yeah.
book movie
I don't
anyway?
even. Well, yeah, it comes down to the money, obviously, and if you think it'd be good for your career. Because again, Jake Schreier comes in and does Thunderbolts, and it was a good movie. And like
Yeah.
nobody's gonna look at him and say, "Oh, he made a Marvel movie. Gross." Like
Yeah.
if you hit and you make the next Black Panther, right? You make a well received movie like Thunderbolts, even though it didn't make money. That can just give you more opportunities. James Gunn is the head of a whole studio because he made like 2.5 good Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Two and a
Not just
half.
because Guardians 3 didn't come out yet when he got that job.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay.
But it's like he made a couple Guardians movies. He wrote like Scooby Doo and some other stuff. Like I'm not discrediting James Gunn, but like Marvel helped like get him that job,
Yeah.
get him that
Oh,
gig.
they did.
Um, and so I
Well,
think
like
that's
movie
just
43. He was a part of making movie 43.
Hey, but he also wrote Scooby Doo movies, so he's good in my book.
for
I mean,
sure
those movies are good. Movie 43 was
bad.
bad.
This Fantastic Four movie, is it going to be an MCU movie and a Matt Shackman movie? Where we
Oh,
can, like,
right. Yeah, I remember what I was
sell
going
his
to
visual
add.
style, or is this going to be an MCU movie that was
It
directed by Matt Shackman?
that's tough. I think it's an MCU movie first and foremost. I mean, the Russos are doing the post credit scene that's been confirmed, and I don't think that's inherently bad. but it's like, hey, Doctor Doom is the villain of the next movie. You need the Russos to be involved some way, somehow, to make this all work. I mean, they did the post-credit scene for Thunderbolts too. I think Shackman's touch is still here. Like, you still get like the vibes that you felt in WandaVision, and like him like doing that homage to the original Jack Kirby books. But I do like think we're in the Marvel machine. And so to answer both of you guys, right, the idea of other directors coming in, other creatives coming in and wanting to put their stamp on things, I do think there's a chance where some people look at Marvel and say, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. Not because its superheroes are inherently bad, but because it's not in their own voice. Contrast to what's happening with DC, where Gunn is like, hey, if the script is good, the pitch is good, we like it, we're going to do a stupid Deathstroke and Bane movie that nobody asked for. We're going to do a Clayface movie simply because Mike Flanagan showed up and said, hey, I had an idea, and he delivered a good idea. Marvel's method is very different, where it's Kevin Feige and who's ever in the brain trust. It's not all Kim. There is a brain trust at Marvel. We don't know all their names. But Kevin Feige and the crew are like, hey, we want to do a multiverse saga. And the plan is to now fit multiverse saga storylines in there and then bring talent to it. Not saying one is better than the other, but yeah, if I'm an indie director and Marvel asks me to make this random show, I might think about it. I might think twice about it.
I will also say I think Matt Shackman, because before I was dismissing like them hiring TV directors, and yeah, he's the one other movie he directed before this. It was called Cut Bank. It had Liam Hemsworth. It was just a ripoff of Fargo. But I think even in his TV work, he's shown he has a style, and that's kind of rare for like a television director when you're working under a showrunner. But he's definitely one of the more like distinct voices, I think, on television. Yes, this is obviously very much an MCU movie first through and through, but he, like, when he was brought on, I wasn't as worried as like when Jake Schreier was brought on, because I was just like, he hasn't really directed anything like this. Matt Shackman has, and he's just very, very committed, because he also direct some of that, the Godzilla Apple show, The Monarch?
I have no worries about Fantastic Four, probably because, again, it being a self-contained story. They just, whatever works. I'm more concerned about Doomsday and Beyond, because we also have quotes from Kevin Feige about the process with Kang and everything that went on with Kang Dynasty. Okay.
Well, also real quick, I also want to mention, like, there's one director I think we are also forgetting, and I'm still looking up to see who directed these episodes for Monarch. So when I find that, I will interrupt again and look that up. But like Destin Daniel Cretton, outside of Spider-Man, Brand New Day, since that's a collaboration between two studios. Like, that's a whole separate beast. You know, he's directed 2 episodes, or he's credited for directing 2 episodes of Wonder Man, and you know he's in pre-production for Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time, which I don't think that's happening. And
True. I want it.
I would love it too.
I know.
Just give me better martial arts and I'm happy.
Listen, but, I like Shang-Chi as a character, but this man is on tap to do Naruto. I can get my action over there.
Exactly. And like, you took the words right out of my mouth, you know, and I feel like he's probably going to have a better time doing Naruto, I feel.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know if the Spider-Man movies have directorial identifier. Previous ones, at least. You know. But again, that's a separate thing, because that's 2 studios trying to consolidate one character together, essentially.
Yeah. So, speaking of Spider-Man, this one's going to be very different. It's going to be street level. It's going to have the Punisher. It's going to take Spider-Man back on his own. Kevin Feige said it's going to be by himself mostly, and I'm like, not really, because Punisher's in it. But I appreciate the sentiment that we're going back to the character's roots. I wonder if that's a Sony thing or a Marvel thing, or is that just both of them realizing public perception of Tom Holland's Spider-Man has declined because everybody's like, hey, he can't think for himself because he's always got to team up. Last time he had to team up with 2 better variations of himself to save the day. That's kind of not a great precedent. Did do 43 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, 2 episodes of Game of Thrones, an episode of The Great. All good shows for the most part.
You found that fascinating, because I'm on IMDb checking episode list. I'm like, is this man's name anywhere?
Oh, yeah. I just went to his IMDb and I'm looking at his credits specifically.
That's a
And I do
smarter way of
see 2
finding it.
episodes of Monarch. So Nate's right. He did do
Okay.
2 episodes. Um,
Okay, but yeah, let's get into this little Kang character. You know,
what is happening with Kang? So, as you guys know, thanks for watching, by the way. We're an hour into this conversation. So, like, subscribe, tell us all of your thoughts in the comments down below. But Kevin Feige was talking to us about Avengers Kang Dynasty, which is what the Avengers film was going to be because we're in the multiverse saga. And Jonathan Majors' case happened. We're not going to get into details about that. But Jonathan Majors ends up leaving the role. Robert Downey Jr. comes in as Doctor Doom. I was about to say Iron Man. I can't. That's still weird to me. I'm still adjusting to this. Robert Downey Jr. comes in as Doctor Doom after winning his Oscar. Kevin Feige talks about this, right? Because Kang wasn't working. Most of us felt like Kang wasn't working. And Feige says, quote, even before what had happened to Jonathan Majors, we started to realize that Kang wasn't Thanos. And then I'm going to just finish out the quote here because I really want Nate to get into this. He says, we had started talking about Doctor Doom even before we officially pivoted from Kang. In fact, I had started talking with Robert, RDJ, about this audacious idea before Ant-Man 3 even came out. This man was plotting Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania's downfall because he knew, again, he's never been satisfied with his movies. He knew that was a stinker, and he's like, we got to get out from under this. And I find that so funny.
Okay, so there's a book that came out about a year and a half ago called MCU: The Reign of Marvel Studios.
I'm
In
actually
that book,
now, yeah.
they reveal Marvel thought they had something with Quantumania up until it came out. Like, they thought they had something. I don't know why they thought they had something, but they did, reportedly. I don't trust Kevin Feige because here's the difference between James Gunn and Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is very properly media trained. I was telling you guys before, he's a master at the good lie, starring Reese Witherspoon, 2014. But he will lie just to make it sound a little bit better, but in a good way. That's good PR for the studio, makes it sound more stable than what it is. Versus James Gunn, he's a bit of an oversharer. We all know people like that. I personally can be an oversharer. Mike knows that for certain. Many times. Or he'll just be like, oh, the script for Authority was bad. We moved the writer somewhere else. Versus Kevin Feige, I don't believe him that he was planning to take out Jonathan Majors and replace him with RDJ Doom. Because to me, casting RDJ as Dr. Doom was an act of desperation. It's plain and simple. They're trying to get people back. People like, our parents are like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. isn't in this Avengers movie. I don't really want to see it. Then they see he is in the new one. They don't watch a trailer or something, somehow avoid it. And they're like, oh, he's a bad guy in this. They're trying to rope in common people to, see it for the guy who kind of made the studio, this franchise, what it was. I don't believe it for a second that he was already talking. They were obviously going to bring in Doom eventually, but the fact that he was like, no, we're always plotting to move on from Kang. You called the movie the Kang Dynasty. You revealed that name just like a little bit, like a half a year before Quantumania came out.
You left that post-credit scene in where all the Kangs are like rejoicing and we're setting up the Kang Dynasty.
Yeah, the Council of Kang. Like, I'm sorry, that's complete bullshit that he would be like, oh no, we knew.
I do have one more quote from Kevin Feige here talking about who would be the replacement of Kang. He says there was only one character that could be that replacement because he was in the comics for decades and decades, and because of the Fox acquisition, we finally had him, and that's Doctor Doom. On one hand, I get what Nate means, saving face. On the other, I do think Marvel was itching to get to Doctor Doom, and they just fast tracked this idea. Like, I do think this was a potential plan B. I don't think it was fully realized, but I do think, because when he says we thought about this before Ant-Man 3 came out, he saw the reviews of Ant-Man 3. It's like, oh shit, we need to do something. Like he didn't say how early before Ant-Man 3. It could have been week of release. Sports fans will get this, but it's the Draymond Green calling Kevin Durant like, "Hey, dude, Robert, we need your help, man. Come down here, help us out."
They've had an entire phase in Saga built around Ken. Multiple. You had 2 seasons of one show focused on multiple versions of this character. The show was called Loki. Like you were setting up seeds for this dude to be a very big bad for however long, right? So sure, y'all always had plans to go to Doom at some point. Maybe it's Secret Wars, but also if you didn't have that Fox acquisition, who else were you going to use?
I was just gonna say, who in the Marvel like pantheon of villains can you pull from?
Doorman.
Jeez. I
Okay,
love this.
Doorman is just like Polka Dot Man in Spider Verse.
Yeah, I guess, but it's like, who would you get? You use Thanos in your phase 3, right? You used Loki in phase 1. You used Ultron in phase 2. Who like if the Fox acquisition doesn't happen, we're removing the entire Fantastic Four cast of characters. We're removing the entirety of the X-Men cast of characters. So there's no Apocalypse. There's no Magneto. You know, who would you turn to? Who could you have possibly turned to? Like they got lucky, is what I'm getting from this. They got real lucky that they had Fox in their back pocket because like a Masters of Evil. Is that what is that the only play that you had left? You had no villains that you kept alive to make that compelling.
The only thing they had were no, they didn't. They didn't even have the scrolls because they were under Fantastic Four, right?
Yep.
Were they?
They couldn't do Secret Invasion for real. That's crazy.
We also relegated Secret Invasion to a crappy TV show. That's a whole other that could have.
Or is that also Fantastic Four?
I think that's Fantastic Four.
Because there's the whole Annihilation event, but I don't know if that's
Annihilus was initially a Fantastic Four villain though, right? Like
I don't know. I haven't read enough Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah.
And he's being relegated to just one movie. So like
Yeah, I don't know how I feel
they
about
can
that.
use him. So I guess they really just had Eternals after this. And Celestials.
Oh, no wonder Disney bought Fox. They were like, we need to refill our character sheet, our roster. But no, yeah, like not getting hung up on that aspect specifically. It's strange. I like the fact that Robert Downey was Kevin Feige's like idea. That has to be a story point. That's not just he's the best actor available, blah blah blah. He specifically is like, I called Robert immediately, which means they're plotting something, and that's something that I want to see come to like fruition, see how this plays out.
It's the lightning in the bottle moment, I think. Because like if we want to talk about, the Robert Downey Jr. of it all real quick in announcing him as Victor Von Doom or Dr. Doom, whoever it is. Again, it feels like another special moment that they caught. It's like, we've been introducing the multiverse. We don't want to use Kang anymore. So who else do we have? We don't have time to introduce a proper Doctor Doom. But since we got the multiverse, what if we had a Tony Stark who had a completely different upbringing than our main continuity Tony? He got angry, didn't like the world, or he wanted to make a suit of armor around the world, but this time it's just the entire multiverse. And he just ended up going crazy and whatever. I'm just guessing, trying to point the arrows and like where they could have like got all these ideas from. But like it just feels like, we got lucky again that we not only do we have like our greatest hero in this franchise, we can also make him our greatest villain as well. It's
and he got his Oscar, so like he restored that prestige to his name, and so now we can go do the stupid Marvel thing. Robert had to like go back for a second, like, hey, I just want to remind y'all, I'm still him. I'm still a great actor. I'm not just Tony Stark. Because a lot of the narrative in the 2010s was like, Tony Stark is just Robert Downey Jr. He's not really acting. He's like, I'll show y'all that I can still act. I still got it. Hold up.
I feel like though, like just the sheer casting of Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, that feels like a what if episode. Like it's like, what if the sickness? Remember in Iron Man 2 where he had the illness where he was like, I'm dying from this poisoning. Like, what if that got to him and infected his brain and he went mad? Or, he became corrupted when he was kidnapped by the Ten Rings. So he built that suit of armor armor, but he was the one who killed Yinsen, that guy who built the armor with him. Like, I feel like that's a what if episode. Would it be a pretty sick what if episode? I actually, yeah, that sounds like badass. But at the same time, for the movie, it's still just that was a year ago that he was announced, and I'm still not fully over it.
And they're still writing the script, mind you, because they
Change
shoot.
it. They won't, but
So yeah, like I want to. It's all confusing. This is why this sit down leaves more questions than answers, because we have the idea of a reboot. We have this idea of bringing Robert Downey Jr. in to play Doctor Doom. We want to make a singular timeline. Just to recap everything for a second, and so Kevin Feige talks about the X-Men, because we kept saying, if you're going to reboot, we need to relaunch with the X-Men. That seems to be the plan. Like, Kevin Feige kind of let slip a little bit that the next saga is going to be like the Mutant Saga. And so I don't know if we're getting solo movies for all these characters, but like, I would not be surprised if Storm got her own movie. And instead of building up to an Avengers team, we build up to the giant size X-Men team, where we pull in Storm, Wolverine, Cyclops, Marvel Girl as the roster. But Kevin says that the rebooted X-Men will be very youth oriented and focused. So they're going to be a lot of youngins,
Well,
which is
we gotta
nice.
get Young Avengers of X-Men. Okay.
Which is great, because you can do Hogwarts, with Xavier School of Gifted Youngsters. But then Kevin, because he kept talking, was like, "Oh yeah, we plan on doing Deadpool and Wolverine. We want Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman back. So which is it? What are we doing here?"
I don't know.
Oh, what? I don't. What if they do this? What if? Okay, we reboot now. Logan is actually the is it headmaster in this case, um
Oh gosh,
since bald guy wheelchair
Xavier,
can't Xavier.
Charles
Thank you,
Xavier.
Charles. Since
Charles.
he might be dead now, but now in this universe, Logan's the headmaster of the school, and now he's training the next generation of X-Men or whatever. I don't know that. Then again, that doesn't make sense because if we're doing a full reboot,
Kevin Feige said that they're recasting all of the X-Men, including Wolverine. He wants them to be more comic accurate, so Wolverine's going to be a short king. He
amen,
addressed that directly.
amen. I
Sorry,
love
Hugh
that.
Jackman.
So okay, so yeah, I was going to ask, do y'all even think that like these characters have enough gravitas to like carry a solo movie? Like I love Storm, love Cyclops, love Jean Grey, but I don't see them making money in a hour and 40-minute movie by
Storm
themselves.
definitely would make money. People love
Storm,
Storm.
Possibly.
She definitely would make money.
I think Storm could. I think this is a weird one, but Fox wanted to make a Kitty Pryde movie, and like as like a haunted house kind of thing. I think if you combine Cyclops and Jean Grey and make it like almost like a rom-com kind of thing, or a romance, like a big sweeping
Sinners,
romance.
or not, sorry, not Sinners, Luke Guadagnino, Challengers, but with Logan.
Yeah.
Oh God.
God.
Possibly. I mean, yeah, I think the X-Men.
Gambit, I think could do well on his own.
It can't be Channing Tatum though. It can't.
It has to be. Please.
No,
Please.
not that version of Gambit. That's not
He's
the
about
one
to
we
make a
need.
name for himself. Come on, Mike.
No, he's about to get rebooted. That's what I'm hoping for.
No.
But for the majority of Marvel's history, I know the MCU has existed so long now that the hierarchy of power has changed. But like Hulk, Spider-Man, Wolverine were like the biggest names. The X-Men themselves were the biggest names. So like I think Storm can carry her own film. She's been carrying her own comic for a while, and it's been one of the higher selling X books. There's also multiple teams of X-Men in comics running concurrently as well that they can pull from. I don't think if you just called the movie Marvel Cyclops, I don't think it makes money. No. But like, yeah, pairing him up with Jean Grey can work. Wolverine obviously can carry his own movie. Gambit and Rogue can carry a movie together jointly, So I think there's pairings and matchups that go.
Savage Land Rogue could carry her own movie.
We're all missing the ingredients. We kind of just mentioned it. Like, all these characters necessarily don't need team ups. They can just be included in everybody else's movies. Like, Wolverine, you can easily get Gambit and Kitty Pryde in there. You can get Rogue somehow. Do like an Uncanny X-Men type of situation where it's just them. Um, Storm can have her own solo. I don't know what villains you would use, but they can figure it out from there. I don't
Storm
know.
is also in Wakandan lore now, so like she could be over
Yeah,
there with Black Panther doing whatever the hell.
she's a cool
So
heart. Yeah.
right, so Nate keeps mentioning Savage Land Rogue, so this is why Nate is mentioning
Also,
Savage
this
Land
is
Rogue.
why. Wow.
Yeah, just if y'all didn't
Okay.
know, there you go,
Go
you get
to.
it.
Okay. Maybe a Brotherhood of Evil versus maybe that's Kitty Pryde's on the run. She's being hunted. I don't
Yeah.
know, something.
Kitty was like the main character of the X books for like the entirety of the 80s and into the 90s. So you can do Kitty and Colossus. That's fine. Or she can she can pal around with Logan. That's kind of what they did with Rogue and X-Men 1, but you can still do a variation of that.
Beast. How about his movie?
Nah,
Nah,
he's too boring.
Jubilee could be fun.
How about Mystique?
Espionage spy thriller, maybe.
Yeah. Played by
Possibly.
Scarlett Johansson. That's Mike's favorite. That's his fan cast.
Oh yeah, after RDJ got cast, I'm like, hey, Scarlett Johansson is Mystique, Chris Evans is Magneto. Let's run it back.
So does she get the blue skin too? I'm guessing.
Yes, but can we, for the love of God, Kevin, if you're still listening, I know we've been roasting you for an hour and I'm sorry, but Kevin, if you are still listening, please put clothes on Mystique.
No.
Please put clothes on Mystique.
No.
This is ridiculous.
Don't listen.
Why is she scaly and naked all the time? That's not a thing. Put her in the white outfit. I want the skull belt, and we can call it a day.
No.
Wait, I'm sorry. What if we just do X-Men Evolution?
Ooh.
I think that's what we're doing. You mean like the TV
Like,
series?
it's from high school. Yeah.
When he said they're going to be youthful, I really think that's what it is.
There we go. Cool. That means I still get Iceman somehow. I'm happy.
Oh yeah, we gotta get Iceman. Also, positive note from Kevin Feige. He's gonna keep making Marvel woke, so that's great. We love that. We stand. So, for all the faults that you may have, I appreciate that you're like, hey, we were here before DEI and woke, and we're going to be here after. Marvel tells stories set in our world. It's the world outside your window. And I wanted to bring this up because I just find it interesting. We have a little back and forth between James Gunn and Kevin Feige. We were a couple days ago. James Gunn is like, the DC universe isn't our world. It's an escapist place. It's got Metropolis instead of New York and Gotham instead of Los Angeles. And Kevin Feige's like, no, we tell real stories with real people in a real world. And neither of them are wrong, but I do think that back and forth. I think Kevin Feige heard that soundbite, just like, oh no, I'm going to explain why Marvel's better because we tell real stories. Take that, James Gunn.
Don't you love when the rivalry has now crossed every medium possible?
It's great because now it's an even playing field. Like when Anthony Mackie was roasting Man of Steel, it wasn't that funny because, like, dude, you're beating a dead horse. but now that DC is good now, they've made one thing, but now they're good now.
Two, technically.
Sure.
Ain't nobody watched that first one, Nate. I still watch it.
But now they're right here. They can take those jabs at each other, and it feels fair. It's like now we're not punching down. They can take it. They got goddamn Mr. Terrific over there. We're good. We're Gucci. Was there anything else that y'all wanted to cover from this giant conversation with Kevin Feige?
Moving production to the UK. That was a big one for me.
Yeah.
In the Variety article, they had mentioned like now a good portion of the movies will be made at I forgot the exact studio name. Let me see if I have it. Oh, thank you. Say that one more time, Nate. I missed that.
Pinewood Studios.
Pinewood, thank you. Yes. Yeah, so they're moving their productions there amidst, current presidential decisions and all that jazz. And I'm curious to see how that will affect the movies they make because, yeah, sure, he mentioned the subsidiaries are quite beneficial in the UK right now. So I'm curious to see how that's going to affect the movies they decide to make and the TV shows. I'm curious if that means like the Punisher special presentation series, which Kevin, do more of those. That's what you need to put on TV. I personally don't need more TV shows, but give me a special presentation, a little mini movie that's like the same length as the Universal original pictures. I'm all for it. But like, will Punisher be moved to there for that same reason? X-Men movies, will those also be moved and whatnot? So I just wanted to mention that because that is interesting, seeing the biggest studio in Hollywood at the time, at this moment, leave Atlanta, essentially. The mecca of movie making right now. That's very big and whatnot. So yeah.
It's massive because also Mr. President was supposed to make it a lot easier. We're going to bring everybody back. They're going to film here in America, and now we have Marvel Studios leaving Atlanta and going across the pond, buddy. You know how much money we're losing from that?
We don't need it. We don't need it. We
Part of the
have
deal, guys.
we have the TCU, the Trump Cinematic Universe.
Oh God, no, no, no.
Ivanka is
Kill,
going to
kill the
start it.
kill the joke here, Nate. Once you said Trump Cinematic Universe, I want to die. Just we got to pull the plug on that joke. We got to end it there.
Imagine shooting that movie in IMAX.
Oh God,
Purple Sleepy Joe.
the orange has never been oranger in IMAX, guys.
But
No,
yeah, let me ask you. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
yeah. Before you ask your question, I did just want to say Kevin Feige's talked about the quantity, and we talked about that a lot. They're scaling back. They're going to try and do like 1 to 2 shows a year, and their usual 2 to 3 movies, which still 4 to 5 projects a year is not bad. Still a nice amount, but it's in contrast to, again, doing the Marvel DC thing. James Gunn was like 3 shows a year, 3 movies a year. So they're going to be hitting 6 titles ideally, and Marvel's going to be hitting 4 to 5. So that balance is just fascinating. That all of a sudden DC took a big jump.
Yeah.
What a weird world we live in now. Like, seeing both studios having, I won't say complications, but just like readjustments and restructurings, and it feels like they're both at the beginning again. And
Yeah.
it's so strange. One, what project are you the most excited for outside of Fantastic Four? That's coming next week, so I feel like we're all pretty excited and interested in that. But like, with this information now that we know, what projects, it can be movie or TV shows, that do you like potentially hope they make? Like, what would be number one for you at this moment with everything you know?
Ooh, this is tough because I am not looking forward to any of these titles after Fantastic Four. I
That's
will
exactly.
just I will say it would just have to be Black Panther 3. Like I'm here for anything Ryan Coogler makes. I love Wakanda. I Chadwick Boseman's passing was so difficult for the audience to work through and for the people behind the movie to work through, that being able just to tell a story with Shuri or M'Baku or whatever's happening here, they can just do it. They don't have to try and narratively move T'Challa out the story and address the grief that these characters are going through. We can just let Shuri, be the protector of Wakanda, and do a proper follow up to her story. That gives me hope and excitement. Everything else, like all of us, all this talking we've been doing, I'm terrified for Avengers Doomsday. I am interested in X-Men, I guess, because that's going to be just after the continuity reset.
For me, it's Martin Scorsese's Doorman. No, I'm joking. I've always been a Spider-Man guy. I've always really liked Tom Holland, so I'm excited for Brand New Day. I'm probably more excited for that than I am for Doomsday. I definitely am more excited for Brand New Day than I am for Doomsday. And I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to Black Panther 3, only because it's Coogler coming back and Denzel's going to be in it. And it's like, I got to see Denzel and everything. I'd probably
That's
just
fair.
say those two.
Shout out to our king,
Yay!
DeMar Davis. We
So
love
he's
you.
just Spider-Man with a cape.
Yeah,
At the
Solid.
Tipton, though.
Doorman.
That's crazy. Yeah, I guess I'll answer the question.
Go for it,
um,
man.
you know what? I'm gonna go out of left field just because my boy deserves better. Iron Fist will get something great out of this. I don't know how, don't know when, but Danny
I,
Rand and Luke Cage, something good will come from
oh,
this at some point.
See, you when you said that, I thought we were going off of titles that have been announced. If we could just go off of,
Well,
oh, I want
so
Iron
yeah,
Fist to come back.
yeah.
Like, yeah, of course, I do want Iron Fist to come back.
I should have specified like that. What are you excited for that's been announced, but also just like with everything that you know now, like what would you hopefully like to see come to fruition?
I to this day, I want to know what's happening with the new Avengers. And
Yeah.
I mean the young Avengers, excuse me. Like Miss Marvel met Kate Bishop like 3 years ago, and we just never followed up with that. Like I need Marvel to start tying up some of these loose ends because the reason things feel like homework is because it's an unsatisfying conclusion as well sometimes, right? Like not only is there a lot, but if you kept up with all of it, you don't even get rewarded for it anymore. Like if you sit here and say, "Oh, I watched all of those mediocre Disney Plus shows that were establishing these younger Avengers characters," at least we'd have the payoff of like, "Oh, we got a really fun movie out of it." Now it's like, why do I care about Wiccan and Speed and Miss Marvel and Kate Bishop and Hulk has a son now, so I assume he's a part of this somewhere somehow. It's like we have all these characters and we have nothing to show for it.
And
So
stature.
yep, and then we have Ironheart here too, and it's like, why? Tell me why. So I would like to see the Young Avengers of the unannounced like things that we haven't gotten yet. It blows my mind that we don't even have like a director or anything, anybody attached to that. Also, Blade, I guess we really didn't talk about it, but Blade apparently is okay now. They went through 4 different versions of the script. Um, I find it interesting because Kevin Feige really wanted to get this right. And I want to know why Blade is so special. Is it because of Mahershala?
Yeah.
because because
I mean,
clearly they rush everything else out and they fix it in post.
they weren't going to do it until Mahershala came and said he wanted to make it.
Yep.
Remember? So
Valid.
that's the only reason why we're even having this conversation.
I
Like
mean,
in the same article, he mentioned, oh, Blade was also put on hold because Ryan made the clothes for his sinners. Like, sir, I know you're joking, but like, really?
I love how people took that seriously. He had to come back. He's like, guys, that was not real. I'm sorry. That was a joke. Learn to laugh.
I will say, wasn't there that rumor that the initial draft of Blade was just like Blade is mentoring his daughter and he's gonna die at the end of his movie and she will take the mantle of Blade? Do you think Mahershala would want that?
Yeah. I don't know what Mahershala would want at all with this character because like I guess I can see a version where he wants a one and done, you know, where
Hmm.
he comes in and he does his one awesome movie and then he can dip. But yeah, like I don't think he goes to Marvel Studios, puts the dang hat on, right? And then he just like, oh yeah, I'm done. I don't want to come back. I don't want to do this anymore. It's interesting.
Especially after they teased him in Eternals too. Like,
They did. That's another payoff of like, hey, let's stop doing that. That just never went anywhere.
Black Knight, Black Knight, Black
Black
Knight.
Knight, Star Fox at the end of the Eternals. The Eternals storyline itself with the Celestial. Like, what do the Celestials think about uh, incursion and a secret war in multiple Earths? You know, now being destroyed. You know, Clea in Doctor Strange 2, which I'm sure we're not getting in Doctor Strange 3
So
anytime
Hercules,
soon.
Hercules, Hercules. Sorry.
So yeah, we touched on this before. Just to clear it up, Kevin Feige said he was asked about all these loose ends, and he's like, "Oh well, we like leaving those so we can come back to them later." Y'all saw Abomination like 15 years later, guys, and it's like Kevin.
Yo, he said that, and I died laughing. It was like, sir, that means never in this
Right?
case. Unless y'all find a decent story. I'm not even going to say good. Unless it's a decent reason to bring these characters back, we could say sayonara to everything that happened
It's
prior.
it's so crazy because like, oh, so
He said the leader, not Abomination, didn't he? Did he
either
say?
way, it was one of the Hulk villains. I don't think it matters. The point being is, here's this
It,
character we
anyway,
pulled from the second MCU movie.
mm,
And I guess to me, it's just like that makes me less excited because if Hercules shows up in like 2038, why would I care? Is
You
Charlize
think he's
Theron
gonna
going
be
to
the
be
next mascot?
60? Yeah, it's just like I don't. That makes me less willing to get invested because like you plant these seeds, and the young Avengers are just going to be the old Avengers in 10 years when we finally see the payoff. You know, like Iman Velati is going to be like 32 when we see this character finally team up.
Yeah, it was funny. I just couldn't believe it because I was just like, so are we getting to the point where like I can just watch the movie just for the sake of the movie and not care about post credit scenes anymore? I would love
I'm
to be in that position. I'm happy for that, honestly. But like, I love how you're just tossing out everything at this point. It feels like,
That's all. To wrap this conversation, to wind it down, that's all we want, right? We just want movies to be good. We want to enjoy the movies that we're watching. So much of the MCU's brand is looking forward and Easter eggs and what we're building to the next thing. Like, I just I want the Fantastic Four just to be a good Fantastic Four movie, right? Like, I don't. I know the post credit scene, the Russo brothers are directing it, and so it's going to heavily tie into whatever is happening next. But like, there's a simplicity and a beauty of like I want to just enjoy the story that I'm in. I don't want to enjoy the story because of what it builds into, and a lot of some of the recent stuff kind of did that. Like Daredevil Born Again, the entire season was built into season 2. And it's like, make me enjoy the season that I'm watching. I want to enjoy Matt Murdock's story, not, oh, we're building to the Defenders again. It's like, okay, but I want to enjoy this. I watched 10 episodes of this show because I wanted to watch this show.
hey, we're here now, you know. Oh, and shout out to them also talking with Gareth Evans and like trying to figure out how to make movies look great with less money. Like, thank
Yes.
you. We love that you're now putting in the work. Like, shout out to y'all.
We wish you the very best. Good luck. This is our, our San Diego Comic Con coverage, I guess. We did a DC video. We did a Marvel video. We'll recap everything else that happens on another episode of Insider Chatter. Guys, if you enjoyed this conversation, give us a like, subscribe, tell us all of your thoughts down below. On Marvel, what do you want to see in the MCU? Do you agree with a lot of Kevin Feige's statements? Are we being doomers and just like overanalyzing all this other stuff? And Doorman. We're gonna do a Doorman just like lore video one day, I guess, because
Yay.
that's the inside joke. Nate, where can the fine folks find you, buddy?
You can find me across most social media platforms at Nate Knows Movies. For now, it might become Nate Knows Doorman after a while. Or you can find me on Instagram at NateRichard98. That's also the same on Threads. And on Letterboxd, I'm a patron, so you just look up Nate Richard. I'll appear probably right away. You'll know it's me.
Yeah, you can find me here and just on Letterbox at Cliff Boom. Just talking the talk, enjoying stuff and whatnot. And also, y'all, before we go, Nate watched RRR. If y'all are OG fans, convince him to record a video with us talking about how much he loved that movie.
We'll definitely have to talk RR for another
Please.
episode.
I need to.
You guys, you can find me at the door, man, and I'll be here at Novice Cinephile everywhere. The Novice Cinephile on Instagram. Find the chatter after on the godforsaken site X. We're also in your podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts, and we will see you guys next time. Keep watching movies and keep reading comics.